What if I told you that one of America's most successful fast food chains deliberately turns down billions in profit every year? What if I told you there's a burger company that could have 40,000 locations worldwide but chooses to stay small? What if I told you that in our age of endless expansion and maximum efficiency, one family has spent 75 years proving that doing less can actually mean achieving more? This is the story of In-N-Out Burger, the California chain that became a billion-dollar empire by breaking every rule of modern business. It's a story about a family that chose principles over profits, quality over quantity, and somehow built the most devoted fan base in fast food by doing exactly the opposite of what every business school teaches. But it starts in 1948, in a tiny burger stand in Baldwin Park, California, where a young couple was about to accidentally invent the future of fast food. Harry and Esther Snyder weren't trying to revolutionize anything when they opened their first burger stand. Harry was 24, Esther was 23, and they had an idea that seemed almost too simple. What if you could get a fresh, quality burger without getting out of your car? This was 1948, and the drive-thru as we know it didn't exist. Sure, some restaurants had car hops who would bring food to your window, but there was no system for ordering from your car. Harry Snyder changed that forever. He installed a two-way speaker system that allowed customers to place orders without leaving their cars. It was the world's first modern drive-thru, and it would transform not just In-N-Out, but the entire fast food industry. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, every drive-thru you've ever used traces back to Harry Snyder's innovation in Baldwin Park. But the drive-thru was just the delivery system. The real innovation was what they were delivering. While other burger stands were focused on speed above all else, the Snyders were obsessed with quality. They used fresh ground beef, never frozen. They cut their fries from whole potatoes in each restaurant. They made their buns fresh daily. This was revolutionary thinking in 1948, when frozen and processed foods were seen as the future of efficiency. The Snyders also did something that seemed crazy at the time. They kept their menu incredibly simple: 3 types of burgers, fries, and drinks. That was it. While competitors were adding hot dogs, fried chicken, and breakfast items, In-N-Out stuck with burgers. The simplicity was strategic. Harry Snyder believed that if you only did a few things, you could do them perfectly. Every employee could master the entire menu. Every ingredient could be top quality. Every burger could be consistent. Through the 1950s and 1960s, In-N-Out expanded slowly throughout Southern California. This wasn't McDonald's-style rapid expansion. The Snyders opened new locations only when they could maintain their standards. They refused to franchise, keeping every restaurant company-owned. This approach seemed like business suicide. McDonald's was exploding across America by franchising to local operators who would pay for the privilege of opening new locations. The franchise model meant rapid growth with minimal investment. Every business consultant would have told the Snyders to franchise. But Harry and Esther had a different vision. They wanted to control every aspect of their business. They wanted every burger to taste exactly the same, whether you bought it in Baldwin Park or Beverly Hills. Franchising meant giving up control, and the Snyders weren't willing to do that. The control extended to every detail. In-N-Out built its own supply centers and delivery trucks. They developed their own recipes for everything from burger sauce to bun dough. They created their own training programs for employees. They even designed their own equipment. This obsession with control was expensive and complicated, but it created something unprecedented in fast food: true consistency. At McDonald's or Burger King, quality varied depending on the franchisee. At In-N-Out, every location was identical because the same company ran them all. In the 1970s, the Snyders made another decision that shocked the fast food world. They decided to pay their employees significantly above minimum wage and offer comprehensive benefits. Not just basic health care, but profit sharing, paid vacation, and genuine advancement opportunities that treated workers as long-term investments rather than disposable labor. In an industry built on minimizing labor costs, paying premium wages seemed insane. Most fast food chains kept wages as low as legally possible. But the Snyders prioritized their workers over pure profit, a philosophy that would become central to In-N-Out's identity. The generous compensation, combined with genuine opportunities for advancement and comprehensive benefits, created something almost unheard of in fast food: employee loyalty. This employee culture translated directly into customer experience. In-and-out restaurants were consistently cleaner, faster, and friendlier than competitors. Customers noticed the difference. By the 1980s, In-N-Out had developed something every marketing company dreams of: a genuine cult following. Californians didn't just like In-N-Out, they were emotionally attached to it. Moving out of California meant giving up In-N-Out, which became a legitimate factor in people's relocation decisions. The cult status was amplified by In-N-Out's secret menu. While the posted menu remained simple, insiders knew about animal-style burgers with special sauce and grilled onions, Flying Dutchman, meat and cheese-only burgers, and protein-style burgers wrapped in lettuce instead of buns. The secret menu wasn't really secret. Employees would happily explain it to anyone who asked. But it created a sense of insider knowledge that made customers feel special. Knowing how to order animal style became a California cultural marker, like knowing which beach to avoid during tourist season. In the 1990s, as other chains chased national expansion and went public to raise capital, In-N-Out remained stubbornly private and regional. When investors offered hundreds of millions for franchising rights or public stock offerings, the Snyders said no. This decision looked increasingly strange as McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's became global empires worth tens of billions. In-N-Out could have been just as big, just as profitable. Instead, they chose to stay small. The choice reflected a fundamental difference in philosophy. Other chains saw restaurants as profit centers to be optimized and multiplied. In-N-Out saw restaurants as community institutions to be perfected and protected. The strategy seemed vindicated in the 2000s, when fast food faced increasing criticism for poor quality, unhealthy ingredients, and worker exploitation. In-N-Out's commitment to fresh ingredients, fair wages, and slow growth suddenly looked prescient rather than stubborn. Food critics began writing about In-N-Out as an alternative to corporate fast food. Celebrity chefs praised its simplicity and quality. Anthony Bourdain called it his favorite burger. Julia Child said she loved the chain's straightforward approach. The media attention introduced In-N-Out to people beyond California. Food Network shows featured the chain as a West Coast phenomenon. Travel shows included In-N-Out as a California must-try experience. Social media amplified the mystique. People posted photos of their first In-N-Out experience like it was a pilgrimage. This created an interesting dynamic. In-N-Out became famous for being hard to get. Unlike McDonald's, which you could find anywhere, In-N-Out required a trip to California or a handful of other Western states. The scarcity increased the desire. When the company finally began expanding outside California, first to Nevada in 1992, then Arizona in 2000, then Utah in 2009, each new market opening became a major event. People camped out overnight for the grand opening of new locations. Local news covered In-N-Out arrivals like they were major economic developments. The expansion revealed something remarkable. In-N-Out's appeal wasn't just regional nostalgia. The simple menu, fresh ingredients, and employee culture translated perfectly to new markets. Customers in Las Vegas and Phoenix became just as devoted as those in Los Angeles. But In-N-Out's expansion remained deliberately limited. While other chains opened hundreds of new locations annually, In-N-Out opened dozens. They maintained their policy that every restaurant had to be within a day's drive of their supply centers, ensuring fresh ingredients. This constraint meant turning down massive opportunities. In-N-Out could have expanded to New York, Florida, or Texas and made hundreds of millions more in revenue. Instead, they chose to maintain their standards, even if it meant leaving money on the table. The financial results of this philosophy are staggering. With just over 400 locations, In-N-Out generates approximately $2 billion in annual revenue, higher per-store sales than any other burger chain in America. Their average location makes more money than most McDonald's, despite having a menu that fits on an index card. Industry analysts estimate that In-N-Out's per-store sales are nearly double the industry average. This isn't just because of higher prices. In-N-Out's prices are actually comparable to McDonald's. It's because of customer loyalty that borders on obsession. In and out. Customers visit more frequently, stay longer, and bring more people with them than customers at other chains. The social aspect of dining at In-N-Out, families sharing meals, friends gathering for burgers, creates an experience that fast food rarely achieves. The 2019 chicken sandwich wars that erupted between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes demonstrated In-N-Out's unique position in fast food. While other chains fought for market share with new products and promotions, In-N-Out remained focused on perfecting the same simple menu they'd offered for decades. The contrast highlighted what made In-N-Out different. While other chains chased trends, In-N-Out created them. While other chains optimized for short-term profits, In-N-Out built for long-term relationships. While other chains answered to shareholders, In-N-Out answered only to customers and employees. Today, In-N-Out is run by Lindsay Snyder, Harry and Esther's granddaughter, who became one of the youngest female billionaires in the world when she took control of the company in 2017. At 35, she inherited not just a business but a cultural institution. Snyder faces pressures her grandparents never imagined: digital ordering, delivery apps, plant-based meats, international expansion opportunities. The modern fast food landscape offers countless ways to grow and countless ways to compromise the In-N-Out identity. Yet the company continues to resist most modernization efforts. They still don't offer delivery through third-party apps. They still don't take online orders. They still require customers to visit their restaurants in person, just like Harry and Esther intended in 1948. The resistance to digital transformation might seem stubborn, but it's philosophically consistent. In-N-Out has always believed that their food is best experienced fresh, in person, with the social interaction that comes from visiting a restaurant. Delivery and mobile ordering might increase sales, but they would change the fundamental experience. In-N-Out's story challenges every assumption about modern business success. They prove that you don't have to franchise to grow. You don't have to go public to raise capital. You don't have to expand everywhere to build an empire. You don't have to constantly change to stay relevant. Instead, they've shown that focusing obsessively on a simple concept, fresh burgers made by happy employees for devoted customers, can build something more valuable than rapid expansion, a genuine cultural institution. When Californians talk about In-N-Out, they're not just talking about burgers. They're talking about growing up, about family traditions, about what makes California special. The chain has become woven into the state's identity like beaches, Hollywood, and perfect weather. The In-N-Out story is ultimately about the power of saying no. No to franchising. No to going public. No to rapid expansion. No to complexity. No to compromising on quality. In a business culture that celebrates saying yes to everything, the Snyders built an empire by saying no to almost everything. 75 years after Harry Snyder installed that first drive-through speaker, In-N-Out remains exactly what he envisioned: a place where you can get a great burger quickly without sacrificing quality. That simple vision became a billion-dollar business, but more importantly, it became a beloved institution. The next time you see those long lines at In-N-Out, remember, people aren't just waiting for burgers. They're participating in a story that began in 1948 with two young entrepreneurs who believed that doing something simple really, really well was worth more than doing everything adequately. That's how a single burger stand became a billion-dollar brand. Not by changing everything, but by never changing what mattered most.